What does love mean to me? What's love got to do with it? What's love but a second-hand emotion? According to Rev Google, it was thought that the first love song was Solomon's Song of Songs. That was until the love song of Shu Sin was discovered in a library in Mesopotamia. That was composed circa 2000 BCE. Songs proclaiming and romanticising love and lamenting lost love have been written and performed down the centuries ever since. The lyrics to that Tina Turner song, which I butchered just a few minutes ago, What's Love Got to Do With It, written a few years later, only a few years later, in 1993 by Terry Britten and Graham Hamilton Lyle, are actually very to the point. They describe love as a second-hand emotion, which I think can be interpreted to also mean that the word love is a label we use far too easily. I love Rue. Of course I do. I'm quite happy to say so in front of all of you that I adore her. Actually, the weekend after next, we celebrate our golden wedding. However, the fact is, if she was Dr. Shipman, she'd have been let out twice by now. I learned very quickly that the most important words I had to say to Ruth were not what I said to her under the chuppah. It was actually two other words.
Yes, dear.
On the weekend of a previous anniversary, Rabbi Kett asked me, what's the secret to a long and successful marriage? My answer was, to have no secrets. I also love and adore my children and, of course, my grandchildren. How I felt the first time I laid eyes on them, which each of them, it was a one-off, uncontrollable emotion. Like most people, I freely say that I love many other things. As my grandmother used to say, and probably yours as well, I'll give you a for instance. I say that I love chicken soup. A Friday night without chicken soup is a major catastrophe for me. And take Spurs, for instance. I wish that somebody would. I've been a supporter all my life, but I don't go all gooey-eyed and wet-eyed when I watch them. Maybe if I saw them holding a trophy, that might change. But who knows? I should live so long. So what do we really mean when we use the word love so freely? I think we actually mean like, in perhaps its strongest terms. And I think the word love should be reserved only for when we are describing our feelings for another human being. We all have friends who we love, but that's a different feeling yet again to loving a child or a spouse. I was 30 when I went into Freemasonry, which was considered very young because I was only 19 when my father passed away. I was encouraged to join and meet some older gentlemen, many of whom turned out to be wonderful friends and mentors, some of whom I'm still in touch with today. There are two main points to Freemasonry. The first is charity. I don't want to harp on about it too much because it's not something we shout about from the rooftops. The second is brotherly love. It's one of the first things a Freemason is taught, and it's a continuing theme all the way through a Freemason's life. Love for our fellow human beings, or as one of the trigger questions that we were sent as suggestions to speak about, our neighbours. We're also taught that to be able to do that, we have to love and respect ourselves. I have to tell you, it completely changed my outlook on life, and I hope it made me a better and a rounder person. Not this type of round, that's down to Ruru's cooking, but I'm sure you know what I mean. I looked through the list of trigger questions and I could speak about most of them, but time doesn't allow, and it wouldn't have been fair to the other speakers. Let me just summarise by saying that although I may not believe in love at first sight, I do believe that the instinct that tells a person that he or she can grow to love another human being that they are initially attracted to is an all-powerful one. And yes, love does change. Just like the Edison Lighthouse song from the 1960s/70s, love grows, especially if her name is Rosemary, or as in my case, Ruru. It develops as we learn more and more about each other, and it does grow stronger. And to finish, again, according to Rev Google, more than 100 million love songs have been written. Then there can only be one reason for that. As Jennifer Rush and Celine Dion, among many other artists, sung, it's all about the power of love. Thank you for listening.
All you need is love. Love is all you need. These two statements are interesting. Are they indeed statements? Are they questions? What do they mean? A simple four-letter word with multiple meanings. Deep affection, fondness, tenderness, warmth, intimacy, attachment, endearment, devotion, adoration, doting, idolization, worship, passion, ardor, desire, lust, yearning, infatuation, adulation, besottedness, a feeling of strong or constant affection for a person, motherly or maternal love, fatherly or paternal love, attraction that includes sexual desire, the strong affection felt by people who have a romantic relationship, a declaration of love. If you look up the meaning of this word on the internet, you'll be inundated with so many meanings and interpretations. If you ask someone what love means, I guarantee you'll get a different answer from each person. Love is, in my view, very difficult to quantify or explain. Last Sunday, our daughter married a man who she says is the love of her life. The lead up to this wedding was wonderful, full of love. The chuppah, officiated at by our very own Rabbi Nick, oozed love, and the after party, well, that was definitely full of love. I can't define it for you. It was a total atmosphere expressed through everyone's behaviour. Davening, tears, smiles, singing, dancing, Sheva brachot, which we thought would never end, as the singing and dancing in between each one was full of joyful, innovative singing and dancing. There are so many songs and films where love is in the title. There are rom-coms, which give you an idea of what the film is about. How many times do you see the love emoji on a text, Facebook or email? I am willing to bet that people use the word love in their everyday lives at least once a day. The word love seems to be around most of the time. What does it really mean? And what does it mean to me? When I was conned into giving this talk, I was told that I should speak about my passion for teaching. This could be seen as a form of love. And that got me thinking. Was I really in love with teaching? I was certainly passionate about it. Well, I taught for over 50 years, so I must have been. I retired twice, just couldn't leave it. I did not find teaching a chore. Mostly I enjoyed going to work every day. I spent a good deal of my time having everything to do with education buzzing around in my brain. My family say I never totally switched off. I'm still interested in education. When I was fully involved in school life, I got a huge buzz from imparting information to children in whatever form I could find to engage them. I cannot express the joy or feeling one has when a child suddenly gets what they're struggling with. Watching a child develop, gain confidence, grow in independence is an indescribable emotion. I always get a buzz out of seeing children perform in a play or a children's choir. Well, that literally sets my toes tingling. For many years, I led primary school groups on trips to Israel. Wow, that was really special. For most of them, if they had been at all, their visits were to hotels with swimming pools, or they were visiting time with family. Introducing 10 and 11-year-olds to this wonderful country was a great privilege. We travelled north, south, east and west, and undertook the most amazing experiences and adventures. When I got more involved in management of schools, I was passionate about ensuring that everything was the best it could be. I experienced great joy from seeing student teachers develop through their training. Even now, I feel proud to have been involved in the training of students who are now head teachers themselves. I'm always thrilled to meet ex-pupils, and because the last 38 years of my teaching career was spent within the Jewish community, I meet a lot of them, some of them even members of Bushey Shul. Yes, I'm passionate about education. My grandchildren joke that I'm ready to help and correct them if need be. The latest banter between us is the current generation's obsession with being the me generation. Me and my friend went. Of course, they're also the like generation, and I will count the number of times like is said in the middle of a sentence. I tell my grandchildren constantly that I love them unconditionally, but I don't always love what they do. They appear to understand the difference. This leads me back to the subject of this talk, love. I think it's impossible to quantify or give an exact meaning to this word. There are many words used to try to convey its meaning. In Hebrew, love is ahava. There are many derivatives of this word, ahuvi, yafa, nava, to name but a few. Chesed is defined as Hashem's loving kindness, steadfastness, covenantal, loyal and faithful love. The gematria value of ahava is 13. How special is the number 13 in Judaism? 13 is a symbol of strength. A boy reaches manhood at 13. Some consider it a lucky number, and there are 13 principles of faith, 13 attributes of Hashem. Love is a special word, full of meaning, but I cannot exactly tell what that is. I just know that it exists, and I think I understand what it means to me.
I ask myself, what does love mean? And it is different for so many people. Is there such a thing as love at first sight? I think so, because I proposed to Rocky after 3 hours. And when I told my mum I just met the girl I was going to marry, she said I was nuts. And nuts I may be, but after 44 years, 2 beautiful sons, 2 beautiful daughters-in-law, our gorgeous grandchildren, I would say that love was the catalyst in making our family grow. When our grandchildren were born, it was love at first sight. No other explanation. Being Sephardi, I wear my heart on my sleeve. My family, my friends, and this community mean the world to me. It is a world that allows me to give love and receive love. I love to see our youth taking the services, as this is the next generation coming through, and our community pulling together during the Afghanistan and the COVID crisis. One of my favorite singers sang, "What is love if not a second-hand emotion?" I don't believe that it's a second-hand emotion. I believe it's a first-hand emotion, one where you are in touch with your inner feelings and senses. Do I know the secret of success in a marriage? No, but I'm trying to find out. For me, it's about give and take, compromise. It's not enough to just say yes, dear, and it shouldn't be hard to say sorry. We should all be learning from each other all the time. There are many arranged marriages where people fall in love over time. If their backgrounds are from a similar setting, they can grow together emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I'm sure that love changes for everyone over time. Couples split, beautiful little ones grow into hormonal teenagers, and circumstances change, which puts pressure on one's feelings. What does love thy neighbour mean? Well, for me, it's about our neighbours never forgetting the Jewish festivals. Being an Asian family, they always bring us food and always make sure that we're okay if we're not feeling well. It's for my neighbours' daughters sending me surrogate Father's Day cards to know that they care. And for me, it was at the equivalent of an Asian Shiva singing a Sinai to a community of Asian people where they could see that love was being shown to someone else that was really like a father figure to me. I sometimes think you can't help who you fall in love with. And Rocky will tell you that she has many prisoners in her prison that are loved by people. They may have done something wrong, they may have done something bad, but they are still loved. So what is the craziest thing I've ever done? Well, it has to be proposing to Rocky after 3 hours and my whole life changing from that point. And would I change anything? No, I wouldn't. So I put a poem together that basically summarizes where this is all at. And bear with me, and I'll try and read it through without coughing. Let's all start to talk of love. One size fits all, just like a glove. It doesn't matter what it means. You won't earn more with magic beans. As I love my kids the same, it doesn't change with a different name. Or which of them were born first will not determine who's loved worse. So whilst I also love my wife, the love has grown for most of our life, and kindled really from first sight, but now she dropped me from a height. The marriage secrets of success, just say yes, dear, and not the rest. So if you ask, does love exist? The point is somewhat really missed. 'Cause love is what you truly make it, but don't you ever try to fake it. My grandkids are my latest joy. I've got 3 girls and 2 boys. I love everything about the way they make me feel and shout. I love to ride my bike, the way it makes me feel to hike. Adrenaline just makes me want to ride and gives that lovely feeling inside. I love thy neighbour, they love us, 'cause friends are built from mutual trust. But it all starts to love oneself, but don't be the last one on the shelf. To share it all and never run out, your heart is full, it won't ever drought. It must come from somewhere up above, so live to laugh and smile to love. Lots of love from Sass.
Hi everyone, I'm Jolie, and as you may be able to tell, I'm speaking on behalf of the youth this morning. When I was asked to speak about love, I wasn't really sure what to write about, as it is such a broad topic, but luckily Rabbi MC sent me some helpful prompt questions. And just as a disclaimer, I am only 14, so my experience with love is rather limited. I asked some of my friends what love meant to them, and they all said something different. However, a running theme within their answers was that love is about showing care, affection, and appreciation. Personally, I think that love is a feeling you get around someone you are comfortable with, you care about, and that you feel safe around. It's also about supporting someone through thick and thin. This could be a family member, romantic partner, friend, or even a pet. I also think love doesn't just have to be towards living things. You can love things that you do or that you are passionate about. For example, I love musical theatre. I perform it out of school, and I love going to the theatre to see musicals. I also love the Big Bang Theory TV show, but obviously I'm not actually friends with Sheldon and Leonard, though that would be cool. But is what you love the same as what you care about? If I was asked if I could live without the Big Bang Theory, I would say yes. If you asked me if I could live without my parents, then I would say no. So maybe there's different types of love, differences between emotional love and the love we have for things like TV shows. I don't have an emotional attachment to my favourite TV shows, but I definitely do to my parents. That being said, I would be sad if Big Bang got taken off Netflix. Love can also change over time, falling out of love, as they say. This could be in a relationship or something less emotional, like a TV show. There are many reasons why this could happen. Maybe you matured and now your favourite childhood movie seems silly to you, or something happened that made you realise someone isn't the right person for you. They weren't the one. And that actually leads me on to my next point. Does true love exist? To be honest, I don't know how far I believe that there is only one person for me out of the almost 8 billion people on the planet. But I do think that there is someone, or maybe a few people out there, that are right for a person. That you can have fun with, but also have a more emotional relationship with. Someone that's, not to be cliche here, you just click with. I think you need a mixture of romance and fun in a relationship. I'm going to use my parents as an example here, because I honestly think they have one of the best relationships I've seen, and clearly my 14 long years of life have made me very wise. They definitely click. They are constantly making each other laugh, and they always know how to make each other feel better. But they also have a really sweet relationship and can confide in each other about anything. My mum loves to use the expression, he's my person, mainly just to annoy my dad because she knows he finds it a little blech. But she does say it because she believes it, and he does too. He prefers to quote Friends instead of Grey's Anatomy, so says that she's his lobster. So I guess that I do believe true love exists, and hopefully I'll get lucky enough to find it one day. Some people also believe in love at first sight, but I'm not so convinced. Basically, the only thing you can learn about a person from just looking at them is how they look, and maybe one or two of their interests, possibly their religion, like religious clothing or jewellery. But nothing more than that. You don't learn anything about their personality or if you get along, you simply just know if you find them attractive. which I know does play a part in who you date, but there's more depth to love than that. However, if you didn't find someone attractive, you would probably be less inclined to give them your number or ask them out. Love at first sight might be real, but if you ask me, what matters is what comes next. All in all, I think that everyone will have different experiences of love throughout their life. The meaning of love is different for everyone, it can change over time, and it can mean very different things in different contexts. I guess that's what makes it so special. Thank you.
When Rabbi Nick asked me to talk about love, I thought, where could I go to do my research? Maybe look at what the chief rabbi said about love. The former chief rabbi. Rashi. No, not Rashi for me. No, I went to BAFTA-nominated actor Nanette Newman and her fabulous book, Vote for Love, which is a selection of quotes and sayings written by young children about love. Allow me to read a couple to you. Paul, age 7, says, "You have a heart attack if you fall in love too quickly." Mario, age 6, "I went to my uncle's wedding, but I got sick, so I don't suppose he'll ask me to his next one." And my favourite, Anne, age 7, said, "My mummy and daddy are in love most of the time, but when they go to bed, they shout a lot." Well, I guess kids know best. It got me thinking, and it's not right for the English language to have just one word for love. The Greeks, after all, have about 12 words for love. So why do I think it's not right? Well, there are so many different types of love. There's romantic love between partners, wives and husbands. Family love, the most natural love of all between parents, children and siblings. There are other types of love. As long as you don't wear the number 4 shirt and play for West Ham United, you might love your pet. Some people love their car or their football team, or their beautifully hand-carved piece of English willow weighing around £1 7 ounces, covered in green and white stickers and a white rubber grip. Many will be in a situation where we truly love our work colleagues and trust them, far better than working in an environment where there's a lack of trust. Then there's the very powerful emotion, the love between close friends, the love that's freely chosen. It's often said, you can choose your friends, but not your family. I'm going to come on to the most important type of love in a moment, but before I do that, who's heard of the expression, treat people the way you would like to be treated? What a ridiculous, badly worded and inappropriate saying. I beg you all to stop using it. The expression should not be treat people the way you would like to be treated. It should be treat people the way they want to be treated. We all have different preferences, different personalities and different perspectives. Why would you treat everyone the way you want to be treated? It makes no sense at all. In other words, connect with that person. Understand their wants and needs, what motivates them, what inspires them. Then treat them the way they want to be treated. And that's the basis of what brings me on to the most important type of love. Unconditional, selfless love. It's not about what you say, I love you, that's nice. Simon Sinek says, it's the actions, seeking the well-being of others before ourselves without expecting anything in return. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. If we go to the dentist twice a year, our teeth will fall out. We need to brush our teeth for 2 minutes, twice a day, every day. Going to the gym for 9 hours doesn't get us fit. Going to the gym every day for 20 minutes gets us into shape. People don't fall in love because they're bought flowers and have their birthdays remembered. They fall in love because when you open the fridge to get yourself a drink, you get one for the other person without even asking. And they fall in love when you've had an amazing day and she's had a terrible day. You didn't say, yeah, but listen to my amazing day first. You sat and listened to her terrible day, and you didn't say anything about your amazing day. It's an accumulation of lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. It was Pesach 1990, getting involved for the Seder and making Pesach preparations. I remember it as if it was yesterday. After about 15 months of dating, I knew then that Nicole was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I knew I loved her. It was because of that selfless love, that unconditional love. So all the different types of love are important. Love your cat, love your football team, love your cricket bat, and when you go to bed, keep shouting. But when it's that unconditional, selfless love that is the most important. and that is the moral principle by which we should all live.
I said to the rabbi, "Love, I'm an accountant. How do you expect me to talk about that? You cannot measure it with a number. Right out of my comfort zone. Love for me is adding up two independent columns of numbers and making them come to the same figure. Unconditional love is when it comes out right first time." He said, "Don't worry. Think about Spurs playing in the North London derby and Lorraine needed you to attend to some domestic chores." But then he said, "You could probably upscale it," and I thought he's probably right. In this fast-moving world, love has many contexts. People say they love their mini. I love this cheesecake, they say. I love my trainers. I even had someone say to me recently that they love their hot water tap in their brand new kitchen. Then it's those electric kisses on an electronic exchange. I noticed that people sign off a kiss on many texts or WhatsApps they send, running 10 minutes late. Kiss. The A41 is blocked. Kiss. The canteen have run out of hollers. Kiss. But we all know they've run out of hollers because they don't sell them anymore. But things sometimes bring the emotion out of you. You might hear a song, it brings back a memory, you read a poem, you see a performance of Romeo and Juliet. Anything like that brings out an emotion. But if I'm being honest, having been married for 41 years, when I think about love, I naturally start with my wife Lorraine. How is it different now than, say, 1st of June when we got married? Not sure I can really answer that, but how do you know you really love someone? And do you love someone better if you know they love you? They say it's all in the chemistry. That might be true at first, but you have to try and sustain it. And after 41 years, it's all about trust. It's all about respect and tolerance, but above all, making the time to make it work. I would always call in every day, and no matter how corny that might be, but I would always call my wife every day and say to her, and just hear her voice. The fact that we might not necessarily have much to say, although with 4 daughters that was rarely the case, but I always felt less hassled, less stressed if I just heard her voice. And I guess if that, to me, that was a little like a drug. Sometimes a drug makes you feel better, and every day I heard her voice, I felt that much better. But we are in shul. How does love fit into the context of what we do in shul? I listened to a very good drosha a few weeks ago by Rafi Davis on the 10 Commandments, in which he analysed them by comparing the first commandment with the 6th commandment, the 2nd commandment with the 7th. He did what you might call a vertical analysis of it all. And he analysed them very carefully. He then brought them together in one sentence. And then he narrowed the whole thing down to one word, respect. And then he went on a stage further and suggested that once you move on from respect, that leads you to love. The love of life, the love of Torah. For some, that may be how they see their Judaism and what it means to be Jewish. But looking at this on an even plane and bringing all these things together, bearing in mind I've only been allotted a precious 5 minutes by the rabbi, to me it's really all about respect. We see respect boldened on the shirts of all the Premiership footballers. And why? To put in a rebuttal to what might otherwise only be hate. We now have this relatively new word, a hate crime, and all that goes with that. Yet, what is the antidote to hate but love and ultimately respect? So we need to just think about love, not in terms of a hot water tap, but rather to seek to conduct ourselves appropriately. The world needs more respect.